You're a head coach. Do you know everything that's going on with the team?
No, but I have people that would have a pulse for the team, Adam. You know, I think the biggest thing what happened there was a absolute disconnect. You have to understand what's going on in your building, and you have to have some form of intervention that needs to be involved. And so, you know, certainly there's going to be things that are going to happen, but I think the biggest thing is you have to address it immediately and get a handle on it and not let it get out of control.
Who are those people? Strength and conditioning coaches, trainers? Who are those people?
It's everybody. It's your assistant coaches. You can't tell me that in meetings that there aren't signs of things happening. You got to talk about your strength coach in the weight room. You talk about your trainers. You talk about your equipment people. You talk about secretaries. You know, it's everybody in the building because you're all in there together. You're trying to create a family atmosphere. And within families, you're going to have things that come up where people become offended and get disrespected. And the biggest thing is to make sure that you bring it to the forefront. You have intervention in place, and that you don't let it take on a life of its own. And in my case, that's what's happened in Miami.
Absolutely. Amy, your response to what Coach said?
I agree entirely with what Coach said. There are people throughout an organization, and everyone has to have a responsibility and an accountability. He identified the areas. Your equipment men, your strength and conditioning coaches, your trainers, they're with your players in and out of the locker room, on the field. They're with them every single day, and everyone in the organization has a responsibility. Coach is right. Of course, the head coach isn't necessarily going to know everything firsthand, but he needs to put in place, or the organization needs to put in place, a system where one way or the other that man knows what's going on in that organization.
And you have to have a culture where you're trying to be able to create trust. It doesn't happen overnight. We talk about being like a family because we're with these guys so many times, but you have to have something in place where people feel comfortable to discuss things that they're bothered by. And you know, and then at that point you address it. You pull people in. And I said this before. My first few years in Pittsburgh, I felt like I was more of a marriage counselor than I was anything else, because I thought it was more important to me that the players were feeling good with their lives when they left the locker room, because I knew I was in control with them when they were there. But when they left, because if they're not good at home, they're not going to be good at work.